He walked among giants, but played like thunder. Mick Ralphs, a name that may not have chased the limelight like some of his contemporaries, but make no mistake, he was the sound behind it. He was the pulse beneath an era. And now, at the age of 81, he has laid his guitar down for the final time. On a quiet Monday, the official Bad Company website shared the news. A simple message, a confirmation that another chapter of rock history has closed. But if you knew the music, if you felt the music, you know that this is no small goodbye. This is monumental, because this wasn't just a man. This wasn't just a musician. Mick Ralphs was a cornerstone. A founding architect of two legendary bands, Mott the Hoople and Bad Company. Two names that shook arenas, changed playlists, and built the very foundation of British hard rock in the 1970s. He was never the loudest in the room, but his guitar said what words couldn't. Smooth, sharp, melodic, menacing. He didn't scream, he sang, even when his amplifier was turned to 10. From Hereford to the world stage, Mick's journey wasn't paved with hype or theatrics, it was carved in riffs. It was hammered into chords that made speakers vibrate with honesty, with power, with soul. He was the man behind Can't Get Enough. That unmistakable opening riff, that pulse, that swagger, that's Mick Ralphs. That song alone could be etched into the Great Wall of rock and roll and he'd have earned his place forever. But he didn't stop there. He co-wrote anthems that became the lifeblood of a generation. Ready for Love, Feel Like Makin Love, Movin' On. Tracks that didn't just fill records, they filled lives. They filled airwaves. They filled hearts. His sound wasn't synthetic. It was real, organic. It came from the fingertips of a man who understood that feeling matters more than flash. That tone matters more than tempo. That simplicity, when done right, can be more powerful than complexity ever dreams of being. He was a student of the blues. A craftsman of rock. A silent assassin with a Les Paul in his hands and a song in his veins. And yet, Mick was never hungry for the spotlight. He was content to be the sound, not chase the headlines. He let Paul Rodgers do the howling. He let the drums thunder. He stayed steady, solid, always anchoring the storm. That humility was part of his genius. He didn't need pyrotechnics. He had tone. He didn't need theatrics. He had groove. And he didn't need validation. He had the music. Those who saw Bad Company live knew the truth. They knew the power that came from stage left. While Rodgers sang to the heavens and Boz Burrell held the bottom, Mick Ralphs was the heartbeat. Unrelenting, unshakable. And before Bad Company, there was Mott the Hoople. A band that danced between glam and grit. Ralphs gave them teeth, gave them bite, helped them evolve into something dangerous. Something enduring. He was there for all the young dudes, and he was already thinking about what came next. Because Mick Ralphs was always evolving. Never stagnant. Always chasing the next perfect chord, the next unforgettable melody. When he formed Bad Company with Rodgers, Simon Kirke, and Burrell, it was more than a supergroup, it was destiny. 4 veterans, 4 warriors, coming together not to relive the past, but to define the future. And define it they did. In the mid-70s, Bad Company wasn't just a band. It was a storm. It was the blues soaked in bourbon, wrapped in leather, and fired through a Marshall stack. They toured the world. They topped charts. And at the heart of it was Ralphs, consistent, brilliant, irreplaceable. But time, as always, moved on. The spotlight dimmed. The bands changed. The hair grayed. But Mick remained. Always tied to his guitar. Always a quiet legend. He wasn't one for headlines. He was one for legacies. He influenced countless players. Not because he was flashy. But because he was real. Because what he played came from a place of honesty. Of purpose. Of emotion. And now, the stage is silent. But his riffs echo still. They echo in every bar band that ever covered Can't Get Enough. They echo in every guitarist who learned that it's okay to let a note breathe. They echo in the playlists at classic rock stations that refuse to forget what real music sounds like. And they will continue to echo. Because Mick Ralphs gave us more than music. He gave us moments. Moments that transported us. Moments that comforted us. Moments that reminded us what it feels like to feel something through sound. He wasn't flashy, but he was unforgettable. He wasn't loud, but he was unmissable. He wasn't a rock star. He was a rock pillar. And today, as we mark his passing, we don't just mourn, we celebrate. We celebrate a man who didn't just live through music, he became it. A man who helped shape the sound of an era. A man who stood back while others soaked up the applause, and yet was the reason they were applauding in the first place. A man who turned distortion into poetry. A man whose guitar told us truths we didn't know how to say. Mick Ralphs is gone from this earth. But he will never be gone from music. Because legends like him don't fade, they resonate. In the hum of a vintage amp. In the warm crunch of a power chord. In the soul of rock and roll. Rest easy, Mick. Your strings may have stilled. But your sound will never die.